Christmas tree, oh Christmas tree. Hi everyone, welcome to another special weekend, and this also is focused not on an artist or a band, but a song. The song is My Way. Well, today's first listen is going to be sung by Frank Sinatra. Francis Albert Sinatra was an American singer and actor, nicknamed the chairman of the board and later called Old Blue Eyes. He is regarded as one of the most popular entertainers of the mid-20th century. Sinatra is among the world's best-selling music artists with an estimated 150 million record sales globally. In 1983, Sinatra was honored at the Kennedy Center Honors. He was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1985 and the Congressional Gold Medal in 1997. Sinatra received 11 Grammy Awards, including the Grammy Trustees Award, Grammy Legend Award, and the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. He was included in Time magazine's compilation of the 20th century's 100 most influential people. My Way is Paul Anka's English-language version of the French song Comme d'habitude, released by Frank Sinatra in 1969. I assume that means My Way, not the French song was released by Sinatra. The original song was written by Jacques Rivaux, Gilles Thibault, and Claude François, and was first recorded by the latter in 1967. Well, I'm always curious when I hear a song made famous by some famous popular artist. I'm always curious, what did they hear in that original that inspired them, that sparked their interest and made them say, I want to handle that piece of music. And so, while I guess it's not in the plans this weekend for me to listen to the original, I might go digging up maybe on YouTube, see if I can find the original and listen to it on my own time. The song was a success for a variety of performers, including Sinatra, Elvis Presley, and Sid Vicious. Sinatra's version of My Way spent 75 weeks in the UK Top 40, which is the fourth most weeks in UK chart history. Probably, let me just guess, the Beatles carried it longer. John Bon Jovi has said that the lyrics of My Way inspired It's My Life. Huh, okay, and I've listened to It's My Life.
Don't you remember? Like Frankie said, I did it my way.
Oh yes. Okay. Bon Jovi has also said that he used to keep a picture of Sinatra backstage for years and that he emulates a lot of what he does after Sinatra. All right, nice. David Bowie wrote the first English language lyrics to Claude François' original song, though the lyrics and performance were only informally recorded and never commercially published. David Bowie's song Life on Mars is a parody of Frank Sinatra's My Way. The connection between the two songs is that Bowie was the original lyricist for My Way before Paul Anka bought the rights and rewrote it for Sinatra. Bowie then wrote Life on Mars as a form of revenge for his lyrics not being used. Well, in that case, I need to not only go listen to the original, which inspired all of this, but I should probably also look up Bowie's Life on Mars to see what sort of revenge he came up with.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way.
That's nice.
Regrets, I've had a few, but then again,
nice, the spring's coming in.
Too few to mention. I did what I had to do, and saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out.
You gotta love the brass there.
And I stood tall and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing, and now, as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way, oh no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows and did it my
Drum roll.
way. Yes, it was my way.
You can get your little harp notes in there. That is a fabulous piece of music. It is, well, there are so many things I could, so many different directions I could take this. Talking about the compositional design of the piece, and maybe I will talk about that a bit, because there's some really nice features, so simple and yet so well used. Of course, there's Frank Sinatra's voice, and if you've heard him once, you'll recognize his voice anywhere, anytime. At least that's how I feel about it. This is not my first time hearing Frank Sinatra, full disclosure, okay? It's my first time hearing this piece of music. He's an incredible singer, and he had this way of finding a manner of warm delivery of a piece of music, and yet giving it some real strength and power within that. And that's one of the things that attracts me to the way he handles this piece, because it fits the lyrics, it fits the message, it fits the expression of the song so well. He sings calmly, reflectively at times, but then he digs in and gives it all he's got with the confidence and non-regretfulness reflected in the lyrics. It's so good. And I also have to compliment whomever it was who did the orchestration for this. They did an incredible job as well. Just when you need a powerful blast of brass, here it comes. Just when you need a drum roll, here it is. Just when you need it to be soft and tender, here it is. A beautifully performed, beautifully arranged, and beautifully written piece of music. I'm a bit surprised that I haven't heard this before, considering that didn't have its origins in rock per se, and considering the fact that I've heard a bit of Sinatra throughout my life from time to time. Never been a focus listening of mine, but I've heard a few of his songs. And, well, anyway, there's got to be a first, and here's the first. Now, since this is a weekend focused on the song, I think it's perfectly fitting for me to look at the composition of the piece a bit, even though I'm not listening to the original performance, the original format of this piece. But still, I'm focusing on the song. And so let's go back to the beginning and listen to how the piece opens.
And now the end is.
So we've kind of set ourselves up in the key of D major, something kind of like that as the little intro figure, instrumental figure. And then when his voice comes in, that's the interval of a sixth. I don't know about the rest of you, but I've always had this fascination about songs that start with a rising sixth. A rising fourth is more common. That would sound, well, let's just set a... How many songs can you think of that start like that? Other than the classic wedding march. Right? But what about, well, same little figure. Oh, Christmas tree, right? Or that's another English folk tune. We could sit here for a long time, but I'm not talking about rising fourths. I'm talking about rising sixths today. So somehow, when I hear a rising sixth, it has such a, I don't know, a fetching quality to it. A quality of, it starts low key in terms of key center, because if it's a rising sixth, then we're in the key of D. Then for us to start on the tonic chord, D, F sharp, A, the only way to get a sixth, because we have a third and a fifth here in the root position, the only way to get a sixth is for us to move down to the dominant note and come up, or to move even lower to the third and come up to the tonic. Either way, the first note is going to be kind of low in the range. It's going to be at least 4 notes lower than the keynote, perhaps even 6 notes lower than the keynote. And so we have this feeling of depth and warmth on the very first note. Do, 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 or in this case, do, 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 and then immediately we have to come do, do, do. And so we have this lift, this rise, this ascent Also, very often, these rising sixth starts of songs typically happen with a pickup. In other words, that low note is not your downbeat. The upper note that you rise to is the strong beat. And so it gives a sense of lift. Although this low note is low, it also has a buoyancy to it, a lightness to it, because we're not going da-dum, da-dum. It's more do-do-do-do. And then the thing that I love about this piece is that it exploits that. And the first phrase is simply oscillating between that low note and then the high note that it goes to, which happens to be the third of the chord. At each time, we have this pickup quality, this anacrusis quality of the low note being the lighter note, the upper note being the more weighty note, beat-wise. And so it helps to balance this so that we don't end up with a sort of D, 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 or D, 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 D. That's more like a donkey walking, right? D, D, D. It's a little bit, it's the same interval, but depending on how we apply the beat, pulse, weight to each note impacts the final outcome. And so in this particular song, this opening line, and now the end is near, I couldn't help but notice those little features as it started. And then it simply got better.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain, my friend.
Okay, so we immediately move into a D sharp, which is not part of... When we finally get to D... Oh, that's the other cool thing. It just jumped out at me. He hasn't sung the keynote anywhere. He's been kind of going either side of it. And even when we start to go down to it, it ends up not being the keynote. So I face the final curtain. That would be the final curtain. Quite final, isn't it? It sounds very conclusive. It's closed. That's the end, because that's the keynote. That's where we would arrive. The music does something different. The final curtain. It's the same note, D, by name, but it's not the keynote because it is now D sharp. And so we still haven't heard the keynote anywhere in this piece. And in fact, as I'm thinking back, I think it makes us wait quite a while until we hear that tonic note. I'll have to keep that in mind as we continue going through. So we have this rising sixth. And it gives us all of this in the first line. And then it continues and kind of works through that for, and so I face the final curtain. We fall down a bit at the end of curtain, but we don't close off the whole story by coming to the tonic and feeling like we've arrived at a point of closure and end. Instead, to have that be a D sharp on curtain means that we are shifting our tonal center a bit. It's a bit of a modulation. Let's see where it goes.
The final curtain, my friend.
Oh yes,
I'll say it.
And so we have the same interval, a sixth, one step higher. My friend, I'll say it clear. However it goes, we'll have to listen for in a moment. So we have the sixth built around the tonic chord. And then the sixth moves up. Now, what I found so attractive about the piece is that for those of us who aren't let's say, really skilled with picking out intervals and knowing exactly which notes are being sung and all the technical details. This kind of plays a trick on our ears. And it's a really fun trick. Let's just listen through this first verse.
Now,
So we hear these two notes. Dee-dee-dee-dee.
So I face the final curtain, my friend.
And now we hear the upper
I'll
note
say
going
it
up.
clear.
The lower
I'll
note
state
is
my case,
less
of which
assertive.
I'm certain.
So it kind of gives us the feeling of expansion.
I've lived
And we go up again.
a life that's full. I traveled each and
In more.
every highway and more.
And then we come down.
Much more than this. I did it
Did it?
my way.
And this is the... Okay. So you saw me shaping with my hands from the starting note up to here, and then up higher, and then up higher, and then we come down. It builds this illusion of starting on a note and reaching further, starting on a note and reaching further, or in technical terms, widening the interval. That's not really what happened, but that's the overall impression of it. And it didn't really happen that way, because to do so would keep the music a little less dull in its harmonic progression, as well as not quite as smooth and pleasing harmonically, because you hear how from here, it's a sweet sound. That's kind of edgy. Actually, we did hear that towards the end. This is a little bit boring. So what happened is more. And then the sixth moved up. And then, oops, let's get a D. And how does it end there? Got a bit.
I traveled each and every highway and more, much more than this.
Ah, here's the
I
seventh.
did it
Much more than this. We actually do get to hear a seventh there. So he keeps that low starting note just enough to kind of give us this feeling of expanding and rising higher. Whereas the reality of the interval, the facts of the case are a little bit different, but still the overall impression is that. And I picked up on that my first listen, and I enjoyed it the first time through. I enjoyed that impression, that sensation of each time he comes in with another line, it is just this much more. And perhaps it's kind of it gave me the feeling of it being a part of the statement of the sentiments in the lyrics. And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. But as the lyrics continue, we get this feeling that I'm pretty happy with the way I lived, and I did it my way. It's this confidence. And so it's the feeling that as the music begins, as this verse begins and progresses, the confidence is building in the verse, a little bolder, willing to go a little higher, taking on a little greater challenge. And it's very subtle, meaning, of course, this rising pitch is not subtle, but what it does to our experiencing of the message of the lyrics is not immediately obvious. And yet it has a huge impact. Let's continue from here and listen a bit more, because it's such a nice design for this song.
and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Regrets.
That moment there, I was talking about how at the beginning he makes us wait. We don't get to hear the tonic note, and it's kind of saved until this moment. I did it my way, and that's when we really feel like, for the first time, we have felt the tonic pitch, the keynote. Actually, we passed through it a couple times with the other intervals, but it wasn't something that was really notable until this moment.
Regrets.
Gotta love the way he sings regrets. Regrets. Regrets.
I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention.
I love that line. Too few to mention. Okay, speaking of lyrics, right? And this whole story of how the lyrics got to be this. I feel like whoever did this translation did a wonderful job. This, regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. You think of asking someone, do you have any regrets in your life? Is there anything you wish you could change if you go back? Most times, someone either says, no, I feel good about the way I did, or more often, I do have some regrets. I wish I could go back and change. But this, I love the honesty of it. And also, again, this confidence. And I begin to feel how It's My Life kind of could have been inspired from this attitude. I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I'm not even going to dwell on them. It's not worth dwelling. Too few to mention.
But then again, too few to mention.
I love it.
I did what I had to do, saw it through without exemption.
Exemption. What a choice
I
there.
planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than
Those
this.
French horns coming in, warming it up here. I did it my
way. Yes, there.
Yeah. So this arrangement is incredible. The French horns come in there just at the right time to give it a little bit of sweet pain and warmth. And again, this feeling of kind of looking back at life. Back to the lyrics. I saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway. This is where maybe it is a little bit different than It's My Life, because It's My Life, I feel, is less planned. At least that's the impression I get when I listen to it. This, though, this person is saying, I planned, I charted, I was careful, I chose deliberately, I made my choices, and I stuck to them carefully along the byway, not the highway. I didn't go everybody else's way, the byway. And more, much more than this, I did it my way. This is not somebody who's lived their life carelessly. This is somebody who has intentionally chosen to live their life their way. It's an incredibly self-aware song, if I could put it that way. Not only the awareness that of looking back over life and saying, yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with how life has turned out. There were some things that could have been different, but I don't want to dwell on it. because overall, it was a good life. And at the same time, the reason it was good is because I chose to do it my way.
My way. Yes, there were times.
Perfect time for the brass to come in.
I'm sure
Yes, there
you
were times.
knew when I bit off more than I could chew.
And as I was saying, Frank Sinatra's voice is capable of holding up to this grand moment here. And yet he doesn't really change his voice, does it? He does he? He just makes it a bit stronger, but it is still the same voice.
More than I could chew, but through it all, when there was doubt,
This
I
way.
ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall and did it my.
I'm going to stop there before it comes to the end because I remember how quickly it changes. This line, I faced it all and I stood tall. The arrangement, the orchestration stands tall. And Sinatra's voice here also stands tall. We can see him standing in front of the orchestra at his full height, full confidence, and just projecting this image of it's kind of a victor's image, isn't it? That is being projected here. Not necessarily victory over someone, but the triumph of a life lived to one's satisfaction. It is triumphant.
And did it my way.
I did it my way.
I've loved.
This moment. Okay, that moment. At the peak, my way. And then suddenly dropping down again. What can I say? It's the orchestration, it's the arrangement, and it's his sudden transition from that grand proclamation back to something much more reflective and intimate.
I've loved, I've laughed and cried, I've had my fill,
And all the way through,
my share of
we're hearing
losing,
these
and
intervals that I was talking about.
as tears
They
subside,
work so well.
I find it all so amusing to think I did all
Oh, I love this deep brass here.
and may I say,
Darkening sound.
not in a shy way.
Not in a shy way.
Oh no,
Oh no, not me. Not from the depths, no.
I did it my
way.
For what is a
Again.
man?
Blast the brass.
What has he got? If not
Pick up the drum.
himself, then he has
Brighten
not
the voice.
to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The
And
record
this is not one who
shows
kneels.
I took the blows and did it my way.
It could have ended when he said that at that peak. It could have. It's more stylistically consistent to bring it back down.
Yes, it was my way.
Yes, it was a great piece of music. It is a great piece of music. I love this song, and I love Frank Sinatra's performance of it. I love this recording of it. I love it because for many of the reasons that I pointed out along the way, I love how incredibly well it expresses what the lyrics are trying to say, what they are saying, because they do say it incredibly well themselves. But the music enhances it even more, and the singing is, Frank Sinatra is perfectly fitted to this kind of delivery of this kind of piece of music, and that's why it works so well. Well, tomorrow I'll be listening to the same song, and Vlad has told me that it's going to be Elvis Presley's version of it. So I'm very curious to see how that compares to this, since I kind of dug into the compositional design of this piece today. I'm sure that I won't do so much of that tomorrow. It will be more of an exploration of how Presley is handling it, obviously in relation to what Sinatra has done, because that is my reference point now, since this is the first time I've heard this piece today. So we'll do that tomorrow. I'll see you then.